Ridgefield, Connecticut. Inland Wetlands Board, special meeting. November 4th, 2024, IW 2419, 27 Abbot Avenue.
So this is the Town of Ridgefield Inland Wetlands Board special meeting for Monday, November 4th, 2024. In attendance, we have Keith Carlson, Alan Pilch, Carson Fincham, David Smith, Tim Bishop, myself, Susan Baker, and staff members Artie Ferranjabe and Caleb Johnson. Next, we have IW 24-19, 27 Abbot Avenue, plenary ruling application for the construction of 10 residential townhouses with associated drainage and landscaping within the upland review area of wetlands and watercourses. Owner Vitan Alimi, applicant Brian Carey. And we are, Mr. Carlson is here just to observe. Where we left off here, it was a list of reasons that we were still concerned about the plans, which whatever else has been said about this, the plan seems still to be, as somebody put it in one of the public hearings, ambitious in terms of everything kind of having to go perfectly in order for this to not have an effect on the wetlands, if I'm understanding people's comments. The ones I have written down here would not operate as planned, would not renovate the stormwater. There still was the issue of the groundwater, the distance between the groundwater and the bottom of the gravel that's underneath the Caltech. The deep hole testing, since the chambers got moved to the west, were we satisfied that the deep hole testing necessary further west, because that whole system got moved further west, is okay, or is there problem soil there or fill? The snow storage area is not feasible. The rain garden would not function as intended, and also it's, oh, well, that's another thing. The planting still is sparse, and LID should be preceding the bioretention, not following. Those are all the reasons. And in order to do a denial, we will need substantial evidence in the record. We have the interveners experts, we have the experts that we hired, and we have the applicants experts, plus we have experts on our board. So we choose who we believe in this case amongst the experts who have testified on the record. So that's what I have. So I guess this discussion is open as to, Tom Beecher asked us at the last meeting if we would come back with, as is the case in any such situation, our reasoning for the resolution of denial, so that that can be drafted and circulated before the next meeting. So I think members had agreed to come back with that, so that's what I'm looking for now in order to refer that back to council. Anyone like to start?
I will, if you'd like.
Okay, Alan.
Actually, what you repeated was actually some of the points I believe I might have raised at the last meeting. I'll just sort of add as well with regard to the snow storage location being impractical. I really do feel it is highly impractical, let alone it's probably too small. It is highly likely that the snow will be dumped over the wall, the 5-foot high wall, and into the rain garden.
Mm-hmm.
And what that will occur, what that will result in, it will kill the plants, compact the soil, deposit excess sediment. And so basically it will completely compromise its functioning. I mean, just from its location, it's the logical location that somebody would place the snow. And I know they would say, oh, they'll just remove it. But, you know, when there's a 2-foot snowfall in January, and this guy comes up at 5 o'clock in the morning and wants to clear the parking lot, I don't think he's going to be having the trucks lined up outside the on Abbot Avenue, basically to haul the snow out. He'll just dump it into the rain garden. I mean, I know that's going to happen, and you know that's going to happen. I mean, anyone with common sense would know that that's what's going to occur. The other comment that I did have too was with regard to the stormwater management practice in such close proximity to the buildings, and just the construction of the buildings and the heavy equipment that's required will end up compacting the soil. And that soil compaction will compromise the ability of renovation of the stormwater runoff, of the treatment of the stormwater runoff in the proposed chambers. Typically what you do is you place chambers in such a location and you isolate them from construction activity to prevent that from happening. But they're unable to do it based on the design. You know, I feel bad for the designers because, as you said, it's an ambitious plan. They're smart people, they really are. But I feel bad because there really is no good engineering solution on this layout. And I guess so the result, I think, of all these various items will be that there would be an impact in the wetlands because there won't be, it's a lot of new impervious surfaces. There won't be water quality improvement and renovation of the stormwater runoff from the property from the compromised soils in the vicinity, you know, at the location of the proposed infiltrators. The rain garden will be compromised through snow storage and other effects that will have upon it. And the result will be an impact to the wetland area, both an increase in runoff, and that will itself have a modification to the a detrimental modification to the wetland, plus the increase in the amount of pollutant loading to it. That's kind of like, I can email you what I wrote too, so I'll do that
Okay,
also.
and did you feel that the case had not been made that there was sufficient distance between the gravel underneath the bioretention center and, I mean, the system and the groundwater?
I concur that there is insufficient. They ended up putting a lot of stone underneath the proposed chambers, and they're based on their own information that they presented. There is not that 3 feet of unsaturated soil, and 3 feet is the minimum that is recognized in the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual and other stormwater manuals that all of us abide by. All of us engineers who design these systems abide by.
Okay, and your statement is that given that the snow storage area is not practical, the likelihood is that the snow would end up in the buffer area, the planted buffer area.
Well,
And
what happened, right, the snowplow will basically start at Abbot Avenue, run eastward or through the property, come to the wall and dump it over. That's what's going to happen. You know, that's exactly what any operator would do.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, it will kill the plants that are in there, add sediment to it, compact the soils, and basically entirely compromise the function of that rain garden. And it's really as a result of its location on the property. The the entire design of the property, the way it is done, the location of the rain garden adjacent to the wall, and its present location, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, and originally they had the snow storage area in that area that's going to have grass on it.
Right. Now it's the
But
recreation
but
area.
we felt at the time that that was a bad location because there was no way to prevent the snow from being on the other side of the wall eventually.
Right. And also it was a 90-degree angle
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the drive.
Right.
And as talented as snow removal people are, they're usually not very good at um, plowing in 90-degree angles, termite
Mm-hmm.
is, and into that now recreation area, and that sort of unpaved area to the
Mm-hmm.
east of the building, which is where they showed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I concur with Alan on that. I currently plow for myself and I used to plow for the state, and I can guarantee what he's saying is true. Is it possible that they could, instead of bringing in a pickup truck with a plow, bring in a front end loader, and move things around more tactfully? It's possible, but it's highly expensive, highly unusual for any property on that street. Um, and it's just, it really magnifies the likelihood that they're not going to comply with the plan as designed. They can't make that 90-degree turn easily from the original plan. They're certainly not going to pile it up, in between the building and the street. And like Alan said, there's not enough room, even if they did. And the only way for them to do that is either to bring in a loader or to keep something on the property at the east end and try to work their way back to the west out, and plow out instead of plowing in. And none of that seems likely. It actually seems very likely that a normal snowplow operation would push this right over outside of the system, and right over the wall into the buffer area. And I did ask them at one point, to put in some sort of barrier or some sort of fence or something at the end, to prevent that. I don't believe that was ever addressed or added. So, and that's a small thing, but at the same time, if they put up a chain link fence right at the end, that helps deter. They'd have to knock that down to put the snowplow. But they didn't put that in, which would have been a simple add. I still think they would have had problems because it would made it very difficult for someone to operate in there. But the way it's proposed, it would not work for snow plowing, and then you're going to get all that contaminated snow melt, outside of the system and directly melting into the buffer area through the wetlands.
Okay, do we want to, do I have someone who will give me, I mean, the LID issue has been raised many, many times. And whether or not, first of all, the retention system that's being planned is or is not LID. And do we have it in the record that LID should precede any bioretention system that gets put in?
Well, I mean, I'll say the 2024 Stormwater Manual says that you should consider using LID to the maximum extent possible before you consider structural alternatives. They kind of did the opposite here, right? It's all structural. And then they tacked on LID in the buffer area at the end, which is, from my point of view, I guess better than just having the buffer area. It's kind of an enhanced buffer area. But it avoids the problem, which is there's no LID upstream of that, right? They're relying on the structural BMPs entirely. And as Alan said, even the way that was designed is it's skeptical as to whether that would work. It seems likely that it would not. If you did LID first, one of the reasons I'm a big proponent of that is whatever's happening with the LIDs is happening right there on the surface, and you can see it. You can see if it needs maintenance, you can see if it's failing, and you can deal with it. These underground detention and percolation systems, I mean, when they work great. If they don't work, no one's going to notice, right? And bad things happen, and no one's down there checking it. And, it's just, that's not the situation we want to be in to protect the wetlands, is from my point of view.
Okay. I'm not sure that planting being still sparse would rise to the level of something we need to include, in that could be handled. Would it not be possible to handle that if that was just, let's say it's the only thing, through a special condition? So it seemed to me that that wasn't necessarily part of this argument, just a comment that would have needed to be addressed one way or the other.
Correct, I would concur with that.
Okay, and we won't get into that. Okay. And the problem fill that got mentioned, maybe I had that somewhat garbled. There was a discussion of the deep hole testing that was done and whether it was done at both ends of the new location of the bioretention system or not. And
Well, I had noted in some of my notes here that the ones that I think most proximate to the stormwater practices that were being proposed was deep test hole number 1, which had glass, brick, ash, slag at 14 to 32 inches below grade. Deep test hole number 2, which had models at 44 inch. The 40 models indicate that's a seasonal high groundwater table. So if the seasonal high groundwater table is at 44 inches, and we're trying to maintain 36 inches of separation through unsaturated soil, it doesn't leave a lot of unsaturated soil, the term I use. And deep test hole number 102, also proximate to it, was organic layer at 42 inches to 49 inches and water at 49 inches. Organic layers, of course, being mostly, obviously organic clays are relatively impermeable. So despite their testing, the actual soils there are not, I'll say, very conducive to the practice that was being proposed.
okay. I have nothing. Okay, so it seems to me that all of these things were discussed on the record. Anything else? Okay, then we will get that. It probably would help, Alan, if you would outline your comments to Caleb. And I
Yes,
will also, just to be sure, I will also outline what I have here to Caleb,
yes,
all of which then could be part of the draft.
sure.
Okay, we will do our best to get these materials done quickly and out to the board, because in both cases, we absolutely must make a decision. We will have a vote. And we'll have the documents in front of us when we have the vote, and it will be yay or it'll be nay in both cases. Because I think if, we changed our mind on Abbott, then there really weren't that many special conditions. But it seems that the concurrence here is that we will not go that direction. So we will just draft the resolution of denial. That okay with everyone? I see people nodding. Okay,
I'm comfortable with that.
you're comfortable with that? Okay. So there we are. Any further comments? I feel like I'm not hearing any further comments at this time. So since these are the only two items we had to discuss, we will be adjourned until the 14th.
This is Kirk Carr, on the record. Thank you for watching.